Looking at Paintings is a really delightful book. I kind of took a chance on this. I'd never heard of it before, but I was buying something or a couple of books on eBay, and the seller had like buy two, get a third, 50% off or something. And the book itself was originally about £2, so I got it for about £1, give or take. And that's my cat coming to say hello. And honestly, it's actually really sweet. As you can see, it's Disney in partnership with the National Gallery, and I love the National Gallery. This was released, if I just find the publication date, because I'm assuming some of the pictures on display might not be the case anymore, 2002. And it's basically all about paintings and what it means to create a picture, but obviously aimed at younger children. So I'm not going to stop on every page, but thought we'd have a quick flick through it just to see if, so you can see what it's like. We do have these occasional little comic strips, so there's a story aspect to it, and of course the comic strips are all about paintings, as we can see. A few little quizzes here and there. And there are a lot of examples of paintings, many of which I recognised. Van Gogh's chair, some of which I actually didn't. And I actually found it really interesting because I haven't studied art since I was at school. And it kind of took me back to, light and dark is something I think about, but there was a point where it's looking at kind of perspective and it's bringing in a bit of geometry and different angles and how you can make people look at certain parts of the picture, even if they don't necessarily seem like an obvious place people would be looking at because of the way shapes draw your eye. Of course, we have the classic color wheel there. And quite a good variety of different pictures as well. Now, the pictures are lovely. The information is really useful, but there are times when I thought like it maybe wasn't written as clearly as it could have been. There were one or two occasions, and I don't know if I can find the example that's in my head, but there was this one paragraph where I read it, and I had to read it about 4 or 5 times because I couldn't understand what they were trying to say, not because I didn't understand the concept, but because the way they'd used their words. Here it is. This paragraph here. There's just something about the way that's written that's really poor. And it took me about 4 or 5 times to read it and actually fully grasp what they were trying to say. And once I got it, I thought, you definitely... Medora. My cat's wanting attention. They definitely could have made that much clearer, much easier. And there were a couple of other examples throughout where I feel like certain things are not explained as clearly as they could be, particularly as this is for young children. So I don't really think it's necessarily always well written for younger readers. But for me, it's one of my all-time favorites. Water Lily Pond. I'd love to visit that bridge. I believe it's somewhere in France. Really love to go there. Generally, it's a really nice kind of overview of paintings and how paintings are created and what different kinds of paintings mean. But it's not perfect. But for me, I really enjoyed it. I found it to be really delightful. I was really surprised at the size of it as well. I was thinking Disney and National Gallery is going to be a little pamphlet, but actually it's a hardback, quite thick book. And actually, although it's not perfectly written, I think it serves a purpose and it does it well. And I really rather enjoyed it. And for the £1 or so that I paid for it, I really can't complain.